Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. It's cooking time, kitchen time, cooking time, both. It's a curry. I've done curries on video many times before. It's not going to be much different. But we will do it anyway. So we put the apron on so that we don't get any splats on our jumper. Because the colour dye in the sauce is pretty permanent. You get it on your clothes. Now this might not go round due to Christmas festivities. Well, it still does, but only just. Only just. And I have got a thick jumper on, that's my excuse. But yeah, it does just about fit. I'm sure I must have put on weight. Right, so curry for me is onions, I've got chicken, it's a chicken curry, potatoes, lots of, that's the bulk, peas and sweet corn for a bit of colour, and my sauces are in the jars over there, they're store-bought. I don't try and make a curry from scratch with all the individual ingredients. Trouble is with doing it that way is the cost of the individual ingredients initially is quite a lot. Okay, you store them away for next time because you don't use them all, but you know, the cost is quite a bit. And these sauces that are store-bought, they're perfectly adequate. They've got too much salt in them. Mind you, everything that's store-bought's got too much salt in it. Probably wouldn't have any taste if it didn't have salt in it. Right, so that's what we've got. Kettle on to boil some water, because the potatoes will take at least 10 minutes to, I don't cook them right through so that they're, you know, how you would put them on the plate and eat them, but I get nearly there because they still do a bit of cooking once they're added to the curry itself. All the cutting is going to be done with my posh knife because it's the sharpest thing I've got. And this belonged to my son that's no longer with us. It's an excellent knife. If it's going to come out the box with its own case, its own sheath, and it's very, very sharp. Right, so get that out of the way. And then we'll get that out of the way and get some potatoes cut up. This is tedious watching somebody slice things, but I'm going to chat about some things while we're at it. And most of the things I would want to chat about don't go down too well. I've just done the video that's the review for the year. And one thing I will say now, in the review for the year, you could sort of think of what wouldn't you do again? What did you do that you wouldn't do again? And something that I sideswipe into now and again is a bit of news and views of world affairs. And the one thing I would recommend not doing is running down a president when just over half the population voted for them, and that population makes up 9/10 of your audience. A third of my audience disappeared after that video and they've not come back. So my channel got hit hard from that one video. There are two things to say about that. I won't do it again, and two, that is very sad. Very sad indeed. We should all be able to take a bit of criticism now and again. Doesn't do you any harm. But I won't do it again because it cost me. And that audience that was lost as a consequence of that can probably never be recovered. There's only so many people watch orchids, and most of them that are out there are already doing it. Okay, we get new ones come into the hobby now and again, but they're not a huge number, so that audience lost is probably never going to be recovered. But one can get carried away sometimes, but that's what the editor's for. When you get carried away, edit it out, review it before you post it, and take the bits out that you think are a bit iffy, because, like I say, they can't be replaced, those people. And I know some of them as well, because they were regular commenters, and they're gone. They've just never come back. They've disappeared. So they obviously took strong views, as did I, and disappeared. But as I said, it's when there are things going on around the world that you want to talk about, sometimes you've just got to bite your lip on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you are on social media, because it can come back and bite your ass. As it did in my case. My own fault, you know, don't blame anyone else. I did it and I suffer the consequences. It's just annoying that it went down that road from my point of view, and it's annoying that the consequences were that extreme. As I said, I mean, you take my Sunday chat videos, which are the most popular videos in the main. You can see that by the views if you go back. And if you go back prior to me having a big mouth, I was getting between 900 and 1200 views on a Sunday chat. I get 600 to 700 now, if I'm lucky. I lost that many people. And as I said, I'm probably never going to recover them. And that's life. We don't get it right all the time. But as I say, you know, I can get away with saying a few little things here and there, but you need to go careful. It's a warning shot for any of you that are watching now that have your own channel. Go steady. It can go wrong. It can go wrong badly. It would seem that, oh, bad bit. It would, oh, actually, let me chuck the whole thing out. It would seem that I want to leave a few because I want some potatoes for another meal, as actual potatoes on the plate, because I don't have potatoes anymore. These are the only potatoes that actually are in my diet now, the ones that go in the curry. Right, that's a saucepan full. I know it seems an awful lot, but it is the bulk of the curry along with the chicken. So those can go to one side for another time. I'm going to have some nice fish out of the freezer with some potatoes and some peas as a meal. Probably Friday. Why would I have fish on Friday? Is it Friday because it's fish, or is it fish because it's Friday? And I won't get into the reason why we have fish on Friday, because again, that could get me in trouble. You gotta watch what you say. Every which way you turn, there's a problem. Right, just put the kettle back up to the boil. Get those potatoes on the go, because that'll probably take 5 minutes to come back to the boil, as it's such a big pan full. Where's my striker light? There we go. Let there be fire. Get that fired up. And we'll need some oil for the onion. We'll get that out. That's going to go in the wok along with everything else when it eventually gets cooked. I use the wok, and this is Hannah got me this. It's a flat bottom wok. It's designed to go on a induction hob. That's why it's got a flat bit. If it was designed for gas, which is what I've actually got, it would just be rounded. But that's what I've got, that's what I've inherited, and it works fine on the gas top. And yeah, it's good stuff, it works well. Right, we'll do the onions next. I've got my towel here for the eyes, in case they're strong onions, which they could be. That's for the rubbish. So let's go with the onions then. And as I said, this is a video that is in hand. I don't know when I will post it. What is today? Today is, it says up here, Wednesday. I'll believe it. So it's Wednesday today, New Year's Eve. It's dark now, which means the fireworks will start soon. And that will be for the households that have got kiddies, that have got fireworks to let off themselves. Don't worry about people's pets or people who are frightened of them. Don't worry about all that. You just do your own thing. And yes, so there will be some. Now, a while ago, going back a bit, I would be very worried, because when I was around the other house I had a cat flap. I had 2 cats. They were both petrified of fireworks, and Elvis used to hide under a chair or behind the settee and cower, frightened, and it upsets you when your pet's upset like that. Mojo used to bolt. He used to bolt the first pop of a firework out the cat flap and gone. Never saw him till the next day. Where he went I don't know, but he felt safer out there with the fireworks rather than indoors. Not too bright, I don't think. Well, now he's deaf, so the fireworks don't affect him at all. He takes no notice. I don't mind, I love fireworks. And I was saying earlier on in the video, I was watching the news, and the news was showing the New Year's celebrations in Australia at the time. That was like 1 o'clock this afternoon. And so they're all in bed now. They've done it all, you know, got too much of that I expect, or far too much of that I expect. They'll have bad heads tomorrow morning, which will be in a minute in Australia. You know, they'll be getting up when I'm going to bed. As something else it's worth remembering, if you do an orchid channel, you've got different parts of the world, and they've got different times of the year, and they probably grow different orchids as a consequence as well. You've got to bear in mind your audience. Your audience is not necessarily just up the road. When you post on YouTube, you're talking to the world, and you need to bear that in mind, because you know, there's different things going on at different times of year. You know, you've got people in Florida, all their orchids are hanging in the trees in the garden. And I would imagine they go round with a hose, and that's the watering done. But, and they grow different orchids as a consequence. I mean, there used to be quite a few channels that I used to watch that were based in that sort of area. You know, big posh houses with a swimming pool and all that sort of stuff. But I realised after a while that apart from when they went to a show, and you sort of had a look round the traders and things like that, that they just showed their orchids. They didn't really, for me, there was no content, there was no repotting, no talking about individual orchids or anything like that. They were just showing the orchids. It's basically pretty blooms, here you go sort of thing, which is all very well, and you know, what it did for me was give me ideas of the sort of things I like, because you saw other people's choices. But course now I've moved around here, I can't grow any of those. So I don't bother with those channels anymore, I'm afraid, because they don't do anything for me. Not now. They had a purpose once, but not anymore, which is a shame. And I mean, one of the channels from, well, somewhere down near there, not actual Florida, but somewhere down there, was one of my favourite channels, which was Todd. And his channel got messed up. YouTube messed him about, messed him up, and he ended up just quitting. He lost his channel, I believe. YouTube took it. I think that's what happened. I may be wrong, but so that channel's gone, and I used to enjoy that channel. I liked the orchids he grew. I liked the channel itself, the chat. And his dog was called Elvis, like my other cat was. So yeah, but that channel's gone, along with quite a few others I used to like. So my YouTube orchid enjoyment has got very thin on the ground over the last few years, because a lot of the channels I used to watch regularly, I don't watch at all now because they're not there. You can't watch what ain't there. I suppose that's been on the floor, I better put it in there, despite the fact it's about to be cooked. Right, so that's the onion done, and we got away without the streaming eyes, which is good. Doesn't always happen, but my towel was ready and waiting should we have had the watery eyes. I've just got a twinge in the corner of one eye, basically, but we just got away with it, just about. Right, so that's the waste. Now we have the chicken that we used for, the fajitas, is that what they're called? The wraps that I did for Christmas Eve, that I did with Hannah. First time I'd ever done that meal. And the pack was 4 large chicken breasts, so I put 2 in the freezer. That's those 2. But I didn't think that was enough chicken for this curry, so I bought another 2. And compared with these 2, these are tiny. But they will bulk up the chicken. So these potatoes have just come to the boil. It took a while, didn't it? So we'll turn those down. Just keep them bubbling. And that is 15 minutes. So right, so slice up the chicken. This is where this knife comes into its own. It just floats through meat like that. And I try and get my chicken chunks as near as possible, roughly the same size. But it's the same size with the bigger bits. The smaller bits don't matter because they'll cook. It's the bigger bits. If you have very big bits compared with bigger bits, those may not cook through. So you need them roughly the same size, then they will either not be cooked at all or they're all cooked properly, which is the goal obviously with chicken. You don't want raw bits in the middle. But this is quite nice chicken because it hasn't got a lot of water in it. There's a lot of suppliers of chicken in this country that they add a lot of water to the chicken to make it heavier so that they can charge more for the weight, whereas you're not really getting extra chicken, you're just getting water. They actually pump them full of fluid to bump them up. And if you quiz them on it, they'll just say, oh, it's to keep it moist. No, it's not. It's to get you more money for the same amount of chicken. It's called cheating. But if you want to go for the best quality, corn-fed organic chicken, you'll pay 3 times as much for the same amount of chicken. And if you're going to put it in a curry, it's a bit of a waste of time. Oh, sorry, a bit of waste of money. Right, that can go back in there so that I've got some room on the chopping board. I'm not starting the onions yet because they only take a couple of minutes. I want the potatoes cooked. That's the important thing because they take the longest. Right, now these are big. So, yeah, I'll wash my hands. Right, where are we then? Nice big slices. As I say, before I got this knife, this job was not only tedious, it was dangerous. Because if you haven't got an incredibly sharp knife, you start sawing away at meat and your knife slips, that's your fingers gone. So I'm really pleased I got this knife. And it's a memory, it's a memory of my youngest son that I once had, and haven't anymore. Oops, come on. It's me saying it's a brilliant knife and it cuts really well and it only goes halfway through, that one. Right, and the last one. Yeah. Right, how are we doing? 15 minutes. 15 minutes plus 10 is 25 and a bit. So about 27 I want. Cook those potatoes through. Sometimes I cut them up smaller than that, but I wanted this to be a chunky curry with the chicken and the potatoes. Obviously the onions are cut up. They almost disappear in a curry, quite honestly. It's strange we add onions to stuff like that, and yet when you've cooked the curry you can't taste the onion. You know it's there, you can see it, but you can't taste it anymore. It seems to give up all its flavour into the whatever it's part of. And it doesn't seem to matter if you leave it in large chunks, it still does the same thing. It still seems to give up its flavour, but it needs to be there. Right, so that's the chicken done. Knife for rinse. Hands are rinse. And wash up this, rinse this under the tap. This has had raw meat in it, so that goes in there and not in the bin. And then we give that a quick wash. Again, raw meat, so we just rinse it out. It'll get washed up properly next time I do the washing up, which will be tomorrow morning. Right, that's everything prepared. Now all we've got to do is plod on with the cooking. So we've still got a bit of time for the potatoes. I don't want to put the onions on too early, otherwise they end up being cooked and they can burn if you leave them on too long. And well, in a curry it wouldn't be too bad because the sauce is obviously quite a strong taste. But sometimes if you catch the onions in something like a spaghetti, it taints the whole dish. You know, you take a mouthful and you think, yeah, burnt onions. It actually comes through. So it's something we can do without. Right, I shall break off for a bit. I'll come back when we start doing stuff over here and move the camera around. So I'll be back. Right, the potatoes have got another couple of minutes so we can get the onions on. with a fire. Get those going, and the chicken's going in that pan, but I'll wait and shuffle some things around in a minute. Get the onions going first, then we'll get this out of the way. My sauces are over here. I've got a madras for heat. Whoops. Keep forgetting where the camera is. So we've got a madras and we've got a jalfrezi. So that's a variety of flavours in there, mostly tomato. And then we've got what is a made-up curry that was invented in this country, not in the home of curry, and that is a tikka. Now there's another version of that's a little bit better. It's a chicken tarka. It's like chicken tikka, but it's a little bit hotter. That was a joke for those who get it. But yeah, tikka is a made-up curry. It was made by people from India, I believe, but in England. It was made for the English palate, because certainly some of the Indian curries go a bit over the top for us English people. We're not used to that level of spiciness. And if you go out to eat Indian food, you know, to an Indian restaurant and sit down, you have to go very careful what you order, because depending on what restaurant you're in will depend on how hot it is. So even though you might order the same thing that you order every time you go out for an Indian meal, it will vary from restaurant to restaurant. And sometimes it varies to the point where you have something that you're used to eating, you're quite happy with it, and you order it in another restaurant and it's too hot to eat. And if you moan, they just say, well, that's how we do it here. Right, potatoes are done. You get them out of the water. All I'm doing is draining water, so I know it's off camera, but just get that drained. And then they can be steaming dry while other things are going on. You don't want that water. It's not going to be used for anything. And then these potatoes can just sit to one side and steam so that they dry off a bit. Otherwise they'll add a lot of liquid into the meal that I don't really want. Right, that onion is just starting to catch. There's just a few little brown bits. Whoops. That one won't get any browner, will it, on the work surface? So we'll take the heat right off of that, turn it off, so it's gone. Now we'll put the heat under here for the chicken. This is my fiercest ring, because it's effectively 2. Get that pan very hot. And the chicken, I will cook the chicken in two goes, because there's too much to go in one go. It will cool the pan dramatically and stop it cooking through. So I've split it into 2. And I don't know why I'm washing my hands, because the next thing I'm going to do is pick up chicken. It's just a habit. I've just got that as a real habit. As soon as I've finished touching raw meat, I always wash my hands. Right, so we put a piece of chicken in the pan and then wait for it to sizzle. And then we know the pan's hot enough to take the chicken. It's just starting to sizzle, but if I put a huge amount of chicken in there now, it will cool the pan to such an extent it'll stop cooking. The thing is with this type of chicken, if you don't sear it with a really hot pan, you get a lot of liquid comes out, and then instead of frying it and browning it, you end up with it cooking in water, or liquid, I presume it's water, and it doesn't cook the same, and it certainly doesn't taste the same either. Yep, we're there now, so that lot goes in. Spread it all out. So that each piece is flat on the pan and not sat on top of another piece. Because if it's sat on top of another piece, it won't cook. You need to make sure they're all flat. And then once we're confident they're all in contact with the base of the pan, like that, you leave it alone and stop poking about. Then we'll need a fork. Because in a minute we're going to have to turn these pieces over. And it gets very hot above this pan, but you can see the white of the cooked chicken moving up the pieces. When it gets just over halfway, it's time to turn them over. You just need to wait patiently. Doesn't matter if they stick a bit, or they shouldn't do in this pan. Notice I didn't put any oil in. I put oil in to cook the onions. I didn't put any oil in here because these pieces will cook quite happily without any oil. And as I turn these over, you'll see that they should be just starting to brown. They're just getting a bit of colour. And as Jamie Oliver says, it's not burnt, it's flavour. And he's dead right. So we turn all these over and get the other side in contact with the pan. See, depending on the size of the pieces, some of them are browner than others. Because it doesn't matter how hard you try, you can never cut them up exactly the same size. There's bound to be some a bit bigger and some a bit smaller. And the smaller ones will obviously cook through quicker and become brown quicker. But these are going okay. As I turn them, they've got their little bit of colour. And then we leave them again until that colour starts appearing on the other side, at which point the inside will be cooked. Not open to debate, it's been tried and tested, and pieces have been taken out and cut in half to check, and I'm confident now that I don't need to take pieces out and cut them in half and check, because I do the same thing each time. So there we go, that's everything turned over, and just leave it, let it stew, and yeah, those potatoes have dried off a bit now, so they can go in there. And in addition to those going in there, the sauces can go in now. And we can give it a good stir. Put some water in those jars in a minute and give them a rinse to get the rest of that out. And how are we doing here? We've got brown all over. Yep, that's good enough. To bear in mind that they will carry on cooking in the sauce. So that's that. And then we can put the next lot in. spread them out again, make sure they're all in contact with the pan. Like so. And again, just let them stew for a bit. Watch the colour come up to pieces. In the meantime, you can give this a stir. I'll just put the kettle back on because the peas and sweet corn will get some boiling water put on them and they'll go in the microwave to bring the water back up to the boil so that they don't go in here out of the freezer because it chills it right down. Right, so we'll get the peas and sweet corn on. Yeah, I would normally add a little bit more peas and sweet corn. It's only for a bit of colour, but unfortunately that was the end of both bags. The peas and the sweet corn run out at the same time. I've got more, I just couldn't be bothered to open the new packs and everything, so I've got what was left. And we come over and turn these. And these will probably be stuck a bit more this time. Oh, they're coming off okay. I thought these might be a bit stuck on. They've certainly got a bit more colour. They've been left a little bit longer. Doesn't matter, it's all flavour. Ow! It's getting hot here. In fact, I can go down a bit now. It doesn't need to be that hot. I can see why I'm getting hot. The pan's moved a bit, so the heat's actually coming up the side of the pan to where my hands are, which is why it's hot. But we're getting there. This is the only bit I don't like about doing the curry, is turning these pieces, because it's very hot. My hands are quite hot at the moment. I could do with a really long handled fork or a pair of tongs or something, but I don't cook a curry often enough to warrant going out and buying a special tool. I'll make do with this bit of wood and a fork. It does the job. Right, so there we go. That's everything turned, I think. Did I miss one? Yes. There we go. We'll give them a bit longer. And in the meantime, we can rinse these jars. Just put a bit of water in, put the lid back on and give it a shake. Just rinses them out. Although that waters the curry down a bit, it's not enough to spoil it or alter it that much. And one more. This is going to be right up to the rim. These are the sweet corn. Right, that chicken's done now. So that can go in. Now this pan will need a bit of a soak, but don't put cold water on a hot pan. It doesn't do them any good at all. It can dislodge the surface that they're coated in, that actually makes them non-stick effectively, can become disconnected. You put cold water on them when they're very hot. So always let them cool down first. It doesn't take long, does it? You can be doing other things in the meantime, like putting your peas and sweet corn through the strainer. Right, so that's everything in there now that's going in. Now we've got to have a good stir. And I suppose it would be a good idea to get some heat back on. Otherwise it's going to be stone cold, isn't it? So we make with a fire again. Quite low heat. We'll wait for it to bloop and then we'll turn it right down. In the meantime we need to get everything mixed in. So this is quite a large curry. This will probably do, it'll do at least 8 portions and probably 9. Which is going to take up a lot of my freezer space. But that's how it goes. This is how I like to cook, is doing one lot of preparation, one lot of cooking, and get 8 or 9 meals out of it. To me it just makes sense. Plus you're buying in relative bulk, because you're buying larger portions of things, because it's going to make lots of meals. And that's a much cheaper way to shop. So that's what we do. And all that's going to do is come up to temperature, and then it will sit there for 10-15 minutes and bloop. So there isn't really anything else to see. I use these come out plastic cups. Fell apart. Ugh. I use these plastic containers for the freezer. So there's 5 there, so I'm going to need more than that. This is the problem, I've only got so many, so I can't do one of these cooks until I've used up quite a lot of what's in the freezer and got some empties. Otherwise I've got nothing to put it in. But we've got some now. Get our big spoon down for serving up. And that's it. So basically there's nothing else to see really, because it's all done now apart from serving. Now I used to have rice with curry always, and the same with chilli, but I don't anymore. Part of my rearranged diet to stop putting on weight at a dramatic rate, to at least put it on hold and try and reduce a bit now and again, was to cut out starchy things. And as I said, this is the only thing really that ever gets potatoes, and I always leave a few to treat myself to a meal with actual potatoes. Otherwise no rice, no potatoes. I cut out bread, cut out milk, cut out butter, all those sort of things that are weight putting on in, you know, that are constants. And by cutting them out it also reduced my portions on the plate, because I'm going to have a curry now without half a plate full of rice, so the portion will be less. Yeah. And when I have fish, I have some breaded fish and some peas, I haven't got half a plate of potatoes to go with it. Yeah. So that was how I reduced the amount that I eat, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all. But without the potatoes in there, I'd have to pay twice as much to get twice as much chicken to get the same volume. So it would become a very expensive meal. That big bag of potatoes was around £1. Yeah, the equivalent in weight in chicken would have probably been £7 or £8. So we don't do that. Anyway, I shall leave it at that. I'm sure orchid people are not that interested in me messing about in the kitchen and cooking, but some people like it, so I do it when I can. It's not a regular thing, and it will never become one. It's just something I do now and again. Anyway, have a good new year. This will get posted in the new year, so it'll already be new year. So I hope this coming year will be good for you and all the people I know and all of my viewers and all of their friends and family and everything. Let's hope for a good year. Be nice to have a bit of peace around the world, wouldn't it? Fat chance of that happening, I'm afraid. So, see you next time. Bye for now.